They'll bend the knee or I'll destroy them.
Hello and welcome, travelers. Today I bring you a build for Baldur's Gate 3 inspired by the dragon lords of House Targaryen from Game of Thrones. I know it's called A Song of Ice and Fire, but you know, Game of Thrones is easier to say. We are gonna mix both the sorcerer and paladin class to make a powerful character who is descended from dragons, capable of bringing fire and blood by casting powerful fire spells. I know the Targaryens can't cast fire spells, but you know, that's why I said inspired. Powerful on melee, both on offense and defense, thanks to his paladin abilities, and proficiency in heavy armor and shield, overall making you feel like a true knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I'm not gonna be looking to min-max everything on any of my builds, since I make choices that I feel go with my character's motivations. However, all are capable to beating the game on tactician mode, since that is the difficulty that I play and enjoy the most. I just like hitting a decent middle ground between roleplay ability and competence in battle. So, if you're like me and enjoy theory crafting and creating characters, sometimes more than actually playing the game, or you just enjoy hearing some dude talking about a video game you enjoy, then stick around. And of course, thanks for watching. Okay, so how does our silver-haired incestuous friend ends up in Faerun, since of course, the Game of Thrones universe is in fact not a part of D&D lore?
Well, duh.
Well, I imagine our character is from a faraway land where his family rules and is both feared and respected because of their military skills and abilities as dragon riders. He is a sworn knight, bound by oath to defend his king. However, one day he gets ambushed and attacked. He thought he died, but instead woke up on a strange ship surrounded by strange tentacle-head creatures. And that's where our adventure begins. What I like about this build is that you can basically roleplay him as your favorite Targaryen character. You could go from the chaotic evil Daemon Targaryen to an honorable knight like Aemon the DragonKnight. However, I chose to play him as Aegon the Conqueror, a person that sees the new realm he finds himself in is in disarray, and the only way to prevent a catastrophe is to rule and unite the realm. He is overall a just person. However, you better bend the knee, or there will be fire and blood. The world of Game of Thrones is a low fantasy setting, and of course the only race that will make sense to pick for this build will always be human, of course. So we're gonna pick an elf. Okay, listen. I hate picking humans on games like this. I honestly would rather watch paint dry, so please don't sue me. And to be fair, the Targaryens are very elvish on the way they are described, so I think it fits. If you want to recreate this exact character, it's pretty simple. We of course go for the iconic Valyrian purple eyes, then pick a decent looking long hairstyle and choose a silverish color, and the most handsome face available, and that's it. For level 1 you can go either paladin or sorcerer first, it's up to you. However, I decided to start paladin because it gives us proficiency on heavy armor and shields, plus proficiency on almost all strength based weapons, so you can use all the cool weapons, shields and heavy armor that you can find. You also get to choose a subclass. I decided to go for Oath of Vengeance, because it fits the character the most, who swore an oath against the creatures that took him out of his land and away from his family and kingdom. He's also the most morally grey out of the oaths and the coolest for sure. Each oath has a moral compass that you have to follow to actually keep your paladin powers, and I'm not going to spoil what happens if you break it. I'm just going to tell you that you should totally do it. If you want, of course. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to play your game, but do it, seriously. Do it. On background, I went with noble. We are from the House of the Dragon, of course, so the nobles of all families. And we get proficiency on persuasion and history. In terms of ability scores, I maxed out strength to 17. This helps us both on our melee attack rolls and melee weapon damage. And charisma I brought up to 15, because of course we are going to be the next king of Faerun, so we have to be very charismatic. And also because this scales our spell damage. I'm going to be honest, charisma builds have always seemed to me the most OP on almost all CRPG style games, and this does not change on BG3. The rest of ability score don't matter much for this build. You could bring Constitution to 14, but I'm gonna keep it at 12, since we're gonna have a lot of AC by the end of the game by wearing both heavy armor and shield, plus some spells that buff our armor class, and that way we can keep the rest of our attributes on an even score. Now, I will honestly not mention this at all since, beauty is on the eye of the beholder, but since this is a Targaryen build, obviously the woman of our dreams will be a Targaryen as well, so, there you go. At level 2, we pick our first level into Sorcerer. We get to pick a subclass, and of course, we'll pick Draconic Bloodline. The notable feature here will be Draconic Resilience. It increases your hit point maximum by 1 for each Sorcerer level. Right here you could pick any ancestry with the fire damage type associated. This will influence later features. I chose Red Dragon because it adds Burning Hands to your list of spells. Now, I started without skills, but honestly after a while I respect just to see how they will look, and well, I think they look pretty good. Lastly, we get to pick 2 level 1 spells. You can pick what you like, but I will recommend to pick Shield. Honestly, this spell is kind of crazy for being a level 1 spell. It adds 5 points to your AC when you get attacked by using a reaction. So you don't have to activate it before combat. It pretty much means your opponent will miss his first attacks against you. So at level 3 we get to choose if we will progress into Paladin or Sorcerer first. If you prefer to be more of a caster on the early game, then you could continue progression on Sorcerer. But I decided to go into Paladin until I get my second weapon attack. You get to pick a fighting style. I went with Defense. It straight up gives you a +1 to AC. We also get our Paladin spells, and we pretty much are gonna pick all the smites. Smites, if you don't know, is like the Paladin main feature. You pretty much slam dunk your weapon with divine energy against an enemy. Wrathful Smite possibly frightens enemies. Searing Smite applies a fire dot, and Thunderous Smite knocks your opponent prone. At level 3 of Paladin you get 2 Channel Oath actions. Abjure Enemy. You can frighten an enemy for 3 turns, and Vow of Enmity. It lets you get advantage on attack rolls against your enemy. At Paladin level 4 we get our first feature. I went for Heavy Armor Master to round my strength to 18, and incoming non-magical damage decreases by 3. I would also recommend picking Alert. It gives you a +5 bonus to initiative, which is very powerful for no dexterity builds. However, I think Heavy Armor Master is more fitting to the build right now. At level 5 of Paladin we finally get our extra attack, meaning we can attack twice per round. We also get some neat level 2 spells and Oath spells. Most notably, Misty Step is probably one of the better spells in the game in terms of mobility. You are gonna be using it a lot in and out of combat. Okay, so finally at level 7 we're gonna continue our progression into Sorcerer. The main feature of the Sorcerer are the sorcery points. They are basically currency that you use to do certain features like using meta magic and regaining spell slots. The neat combination of Sorcerer and Paladin is that it allows us to spend sorcery points to regain back our smites. We get to pick 2 meta magics, and I went with Distance Spell to improve the range of spells at the cost of 1 sorcery point, and Extend the Spell to improve the duration of boss spells. This also costs 1 sorcery point. At level 3 of Sorcerer we get to pick another meta magic, and this is the most powerful one in my opinion. The one that we're gonna be using the most is Quicken Spell. For 3 sorcery points you can cast a spell as a bonus action, meaning you can cast a spell and then do a full round of weapon attacks, which is pretty powerful. You also get to choose a level 2 spell, and I went for Scorching Ray. At level 4 of Sorcerer we get another level 2 spell. I went for Mirror Image. This is a very powerful defensive spell. You basically get 3 clone illusions of yourself and get a +3 of AC for each one, meaning up to a +9 boost to armor class when it is active. We also get another feature, and I went for Actor just to round that ugly 15 charisma score to 16 and get double proficiency bonus to deception and performance checks. At level 5 of Sorcerer we get a level 3 spell, and of course we're gonna go for some sweet fireballs finally. Yes please. Also, you get to replace a spell, and I decided to get Haste. This is a very powerful spell. It pretty much gives you an extra action, meaning an extra attack, and improve your movement speed and armor class. At level 6 of Sorcerer, we get our subclass feature for the Draconic Bloodline. Elemental Affinity allows you to add your Charisma modifier to the damage of the spell element type your dragon ancestry is. Meaning, our fire spells are going to get our Charisma modifier added to the damage roll. Elemental Affinity Resistance allows you to get resistance to fire damage if you spend 1 sorcery point. Finally, at our last level, we get to pick a level 4 spell, and I went for a Wall of Fire, one of my favorite spells in the game. You put a huge fire AoE on the ground, hitting everything that stands on it. This build is not gear dependent at all. You can choose any heavy armor, shield or weapon you like the most. What I like about Baldur's Gate 3 is that it's pretty player friendly in terms of the gear that you can use. Pretty much you can just use what cool items you find. Of course this could be a bit too shallow for players that prefer a more challenging approach like on Pathfinder, but I play both and honestly enjoy them all the same. The only item that I would recommend as a must is Birthright. You get this hat at Baldur's Gate at the end of the game and it straight up buffs your charisma by 2 points, increasing your spell damage. Overall I think this is a pretty cool build to play. It changed the most on the mid to late game however, like almost all of multi-classing builds do. I will not say you will struggle early game. Overall this game is very forgiving, but you will see the full power when both classes start to click. And overall, you're going to make every Baldurian bend the knee to the new king. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end. If you have any feedback or any comments on the build itself, please leave them down below in the comments. I would love to read them. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this video. And of course you can expect more Baldur's Gate 3 content coming from me. This has been the Roll Crow. Thanks for watching and have an amazing rest of your day.